They poisoned him. He didn't die, they shot him, he still stood, they beat him, tied him up and threw him into an icy river in the dead of winter. And even then, some swore he was still alive. This is not a myth from a fantasy novel. This is not folklore passed down by campfires. This is the true story of Grigori Rasputin, a peasant mystic who walked straight into the heart of the Russian Empire, bent royalty to his will, and became one of the most feared men in Europe. A man worshipped by some, hated by many, and remembered by history as someone who simply refused to die. So who was Rasputin really? A holy man? A con artist? A healer? Or something far darker? To understand Rasputin, we have to go back, far from palaces, far from power, to a frozen village where nothing about greatness was expected. Rasputin was born in 1869 in Pokrovskoye, a remote Siberian village surrounded by endless snow, mud, and silence. Life here was brutal. Most people were illiterate peasants, living short, hard lives under the weight of poverty and religion. Survival mattered more than dreams. Rasputin grew up poor, uneducated, and unruly. As a young man, he was known as a troublemaker. He drank heavily. He stole. He was accused of immoral behavior. Nothing about his early life suggested he would one day advise a royal family. But Siberia has a way of shaping people. The isolation, the harsh climate, the deep mystical form of Orthodox Christianity practiced by villagers. Faith here wasn't polished or formal. It was raw, emotional, and deeply personal. At some point in his early adulthood, something changed. After a religious vision, Rasputin abandoned his old life and began wandering across Russia as a pilgrim. He traveled by foot, sleeping in barns and monasteries, surviving on charity. Along the way, he met monks, mystics, and spiritual outcasts who believed suffering brought people closer to God. Rasputin learned how to speak in a way that moved people. He spoke simply, emotionally, and with conviction. He stared into people's eyes when he talked. He listened. And when he prayed, people felt something. Was it faith? Or was it manipulation? Whatever it was, it worked. By the early 1900s, Rasputin had gained a reputation as a holy man with strange powers. People believed he could heal the sick, predict the future, and see into souls. Word spread, slowly at first, then faster, and eventually it reached the ears of the most powerful family in Russia, the Romanovs. Tsar Nicholas II ruled over one of the largest empires on earth, but behind the golden ceremony, the royal family carried a terrible secret. Their only son and heir, Alexei, suffered from hemophilia, a disease where even a small injury could lead to death. At the time, there was no cure. Doctors were helpless. Every time the boy bled, the family panicked. Desperate people will try anything. In 1905, Rasputin was introduced to the royal family. No one expected much from him, just another mystic. Then Alexei had another bleeding episode. Rasputin prayed, and the bleeding stopped. Doctors were stunned. The Empress Alexandra was convinced. From that moment on, Rasputin was no longer just a guest. He was family. Rasputin quickly became the most influential man in the palace, who held no official title. The Empress trusted him completely. She believed God spoke through him. The Tsar, weak-willed and indecisive, allowed Rasputin's presence to continue. Rasputin advised on politics. He recommended ministers. He influenced decisions that affected millions. And outside the palace, rumors exploded. People whispered that Rasputin controlled the Empress, that he hypnotized her, that he was a fraud, a drunk, a womanizer. Some said he led secret religious orgies. Others said he believed sin brought salvation, that you had to fall deeply into evil to truly understand God. What made it worse was that some of it was true. Rasputin drank heavily. He chased women. He lived a life that completely contradicted his holy image. Yet the more scandal surrounded him, the stronger his grip on the royal family became. Why? Because Alexei kept surviving. Every time doctors failed, Rasputin succeeded. Modern historians believe Rasputin may have unintentionally helped by calming the boy and stopping doctors from giving harmful treatments like aspirin, which worsens bleeding. But to the Romanovs, it wasn't medicine. It was a miracle, and miracles create blind loyalty. As Rasputin's power grew, so did the hatred toward him. Nobles saw him as a threat. Politicians blamed him for Russia's instability. Newspapers called him a demon in human form. World War I made everything worse. Russia was collapsing. Soldiers were dying by the millions. Food shortages spread. The Tsar left the capital to lead the army, leaving the Empress and Rasputin effectively in charge. To many, this was unforgivable. They believed Rasputin was destroying Russia from the inside, and they decided he had to die. On a cold night in December 1916, a group of nobles invited Rasputin to a palace under the promise of meeting a beautiful woman. Among them was Prince Felix Yusupov, one of the richest men in Russia. They served Rasputin wine and cakes laced with cyanide, enough poison to kill several men. Rasputin ate. He drank. He smiled. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Panicked, Yusupov grabbed a gun and shot Rasputin in the chest. Rasputin fell. They believed it was over. Then Rasputin opened his eyes. He stood up, and he attacked. The nobles shot him again, beat him, tied him up, dragged his body outside, and threw him into the frozen Neva River. They finally felt safe. Later, an autopsy revealed something chilling. There was water in Rasputin's lungs, which meant he was still alive when he hit the river. Rasputin's death shocked Russia, but it didn't save the empire. Within months, the Romanov dynasty collapsed. The Tsar abdicated. The royal family was eventually executed. Russia fell into revolution and chaos. Some believed Rasputin had predicted it all. "If I am killed by nobles," he once warned, "the royal family will fall within 2 years." It happened faster than that. Was Rasputin a prophet? Or was it coincidence? Even today, historians debate who Rasputin really was. A gifted healer, a master manipulator, a symbol of a dying empire's desperation. Maybe he was all of them. What's certain is this: Rasputin didn't rise because he was powerful. He rose because others were afraid. Afraid of death, afraid of losing control, afraid of a world they no longer understood. And Rasputin knew how to speak to fear. Rasputin's legacy didn't end with his death. His image became legend. Songs were written, stories exaggerated. His name turned into a symbol of dark influence and survival against impossible odds. But strip away the myth, and you're left with a deeply human story. A man from nothing who walked into power, an empire so fragile it trusted miracles over reason, and a world on the edge of collapse, clinging to hope wherever it could find it. So the real mystery of Rasputin isn't how he survived poison or bullets. It's this: why did an entire empire believe in him? Because when everything is falling apart, people don't look for truth. They look for someone who promises control. And sometimes, that person refuses to die even after history tries to bury him.